Welcome back, astronomical learners. And today I wanted to talk about schwa with you. So please join me and let's talk about schwa. Schwa. So, did you know that today, April 7th, and every day, April 7th of each calendar year, at least in the USA, we have a National Schwa Day? So, if you didn't know, this is actually the third annual year because of this wonderful author. So, she is a teacher, an educator, consultant, and I've never met her in person. I'm jealous of people who have been able to, but she's based in Atlanta, Georgia, and I first came to know her from the Cox Campus courses videos. So she's the person that you see pop up on your screen to teach you all about the 44 phonemes. So early in my Cox Campus journey, she started producing these books because her and a lot of other wonderful structured literacy advocates were saying, hey, why can't we make these certain skills enjoyable for parents, friends, families, and students? So she wrote this book called Not So Lazy Schwa, and she has a whole fun phonics read aloud series. So I highly recommend her books. But she's a wonderful person because she's the reason why we have a National Schwa Day. She saw this as an opportunity to recognize and appreciate the unique aspect of the English pronunciation of this schwa. So why do you want to celebrate this day? It's because literacy is a right for everyone. And learning to read can be fun and evidence based. And this is a way to create positive memories for students in literacy. So, if you want to right now, you can take this time to write some of these resources down. Yes, there is an official website for National Schwa Day, and I'm going to show you that right now. So as I'm recording this right now, it's 6 days away, but when you're watching this, it will be the day. And so when you go to the website, you can click to get your free educator guide. Even parents are included too, you can get it, but you see how it's included in the vowels. We have A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y, and any of these vowels can be a schwa. So you get to learn more about Yvette Mans, you get to learn more about National Schwa Day, you get to see how other people like to celebrate. Now, I will say some people will be on spring break, so that will bring it to the parents. Or if you are somebody running a spring break camp, this is a great way to include it as well. There is a plush for teacher companions, there is apparel, there's a digital ebook, there's paperback books, hardback books. You can watch the behind the scenes, you can count down together and learn so much about schwa. Now, when we talk about this free educator guide, let's go through it. So you can go to Phonic Read Aloud's website, and this is run by Yvette Mans, and you see here, and they also have other things offered, and you can join their newsletter, but you want to click here, you can download your free guide. All right, so once you've done that information and you go to your email, you're going to be sent to this webpage where you get to hit download now. So then from download now, you're going to see the full educator guide. And so you'll get a table of contents, you'll get kind of similar to what the website showed you as well and explained to you, but there's a lot of printables. So there's student word cards that you can print out, and they're all schwa sounds. And then you get a complete classroom guide to if you purchase the book, Not So Lazy Schwa. There's also, if you don't have the funds to purchase the book, she posted a YouTube video where she reads aloud. But this is something I want to highlight a little bit at the end of our video if you've ever used a blending board or if you're interested, because I want to give you a little bit of history or why I love learning about history with words. So what is the history behind schwa? You may not know, but you might have noticed that in the word banana, only one A actually sounds like an A. The others sound like a soft That little is what we call schwa. So it's from a German linguist named Johann Andreas Schmeller, who was studying how people speak. He noticed that in German and English, we often get lazy with our vowels. Instead of saying sofa with a bright ah at the end, we say sof So we don't say sof a or sof a, we say sof. So the word schwa schwa is actually originated in Aramaic language. Aramaic speakers used the word to mean even or level. They used it to describe a sound that was neutral, not too high, not too low. And this was their version of it. Now, that did change because you want to think of language as more of a tree with several branches. So the next branch was Hebrew. It's a sister language to Aramaic. So over 1,000 years ago, Tiberian Masora scholars in what we call Western Asia, or you might call the Middle East, were brilliant sound detectives. They invented a system of dots and lines to show people how to pronounce Hebrew words perfectly. They used two vertical dots to mark the Shiva, which is the root of Schwa. So they took the Aramaic word and called it Shiva. Instead of just meaning even, the Hebrew scholars used it to describe emptiness, a tiny sound that was so short it was almost like nothing was there. So Schmeller is the German person that we credit who reached back into history, grabbed the Hebrew interpretation of the word Shiva and spelled it, interpreted it into a German way, which is today why we have schwa. And there's also an English guy in there too. But essentially, you want to understand that there is a little bit of a difference when it comes to the Hebrew version and what we use it today. So when we write today, we use a phonemic spelling. Means that we use the letters to represent the idea of a sound that belongs to a word, even if we don't say it perfectly. But in the ancient manuscripts, the writers were using dots and dashes to show the phonetic spelling. That means they were not trying to follow the official dictionary rules of the language. They were trying to write down exactly how the words sounded when people spoke them in their local neighborhoods or dialects. So imagine today if you're a teacher and or you're a student and the teacher tells you to write the word favorite, but you wrote it exactly how you say it. You'd write favorite. The manuscripts are like your favorite phonetic spelling. The scholars used special dots to make sure we knew exactly how favorite sounded. The result is that today we can hear these dialect and pronunciation choices of people who lived long, long, long ago. So, how does that apply today? So, is the Shiva and the Schwa the same sound? Not exactly. There is a tiny difference between the ancient versions and ours today. So, in ancient Hebrew, the Shiva was mostly about speed, making a sound short. In English, the Schwa is about position of your mouth. So, it's right in the middle of your mouth. Why the name still fits? Well, even with this small difference, the name still fits perfectly because of how our mouth works. When we say a schwa sound, our mouth is completely relaxed. Our tongue isn't pushed forward or pulled back. It's sitting right in the middle of our mouth, making it totally even because you don't have to use a muscle to make the sound. It feels almost empty out of effort. So this is like an animated version of the history. So if we start here, we have our ancient foundations, we move into analysis, we have Germany and England that work together to apply this to English, and now today we have our global IPA standard. So essentially, if you don't understand any of this, that's okay, but the schwa is the most common vowel sound in English, and it's pronounced as a weak neutral sound. It is reduced mid-central vowel occurring only in unstressed syllables. So any vowel, this includes Y, can represent the schwa, making it hard to identify by spelling alone. That's why we don't memorize this. We learn the technique to understand when schwa is in use. But you want to remember that it is a neutral sound. The mouth is going to be relaxed, lazy, lips are not rounded, the tongue is flat. You're going to be unstressed, and the sounds are short and weak. So examples are like about, soda, system, computer, waiter. So this is also a resource from phonicsbooks.com. So a schwa, you want to remember, is a weak sound in an unstressed syllable. Think of like the word chicken. So it's in the unstressed syllable part. So even if our multisyllabic words, it's going to be in the part here where it is the closed. So, and it's because it's that weak vowel. So we want to teach children to use their spelling voice in order to spell the word correctly and not always as they hear it. So this leads me to how do we get kids to practice that? We use this wonderful tool called a blending board. All right, so this brings us to our wonderful Blending Board website. So this is free. This is eligible for you when you go through their website, but they do also have a paid for app that you can use as tutors, teachers, or students. But let's get started because we're talking about schwa. So what is this word that we see? We have w, a, g, n. Oh, there's our schwa. Wagon. Now we have dr, a, g, un. Dragon. Next we have un. Lemon. I, b, un. Ribbon. V, un. Seven. K, a, o. Camel. P, o. Pencil. Et. Helmet. Cactus. Cactus. Zebra. Zebra or zebra. Panda. Ad. Salad. Salad. And that brings us to the end. I hope you enjoyed your time learning about schwa with me on this video. I hope you have a wonderful National Schwa Day, but definitely thank you so much for watching.